Hello, this is Butson. I'm here with the Johto flight draft analysis. A little late, but things happened, and I'm here now. Um, so I guess we'll just hop right into it. So the first one we've got on here, the Cincinnati Cinderaces, coached by Mass, a second flight mainstay, has been here since winning the third flight 2 seasons ago. And I guess just for the team, I really like it. I think it's one of the stronger teams here. Iron Valiant is obviously one of the best Mons in draft. You've got Kyurem, incredible like special and physical attacker, a great Dragon Dance win con, but you already have the best win con in Booster Valiant. Great priority on both Samurott and Lycanroc, so you don't have to worry about that. You got spikes with Samurott, the best spikes in the format. You got rocks on Lycanroc. Um, got nice hazard removal with Defog on Gliscor for when you need it. Or this team actually could probably just run a bunch of boots and be better off, actually. I really like this team. Like Terra, Jolteon, and Skeldridge are honestly two of the best Terra captains, I think. Um, Prankster Fi definitely has things to do, and Sticky Web Levani, like just adding to the stuff you can do. I guess you also got Spikes and Tuck Spikes on Gliscor too. I think it's a great team. Um, yeah, I think the speed tiers are all pretty nice. You don't have huge gaps. I guess what is the biggest gap? 85 to 66. Yeah, well, what can you do, I guess? But yeah, I really like Samurott. I really like Iron Valiant. I like that the team is offensive, and I like the two Terra captains. So this team overall, I think, is good. I would say probably one of my favorites. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say besides just the positives of it having a lot of great offensive pieces. All right, so the second team is Clodsire, and this team starting off strong with Zamazenta Crowned. Pretty great Pokemon. Um, the body press set, Iron Defense body press is usually what you're going to go with, I would say, with your choice of your Steel move or Dark move to hit a Fairy or Ghost type, whatever you happen to be facing in that matchup. I think Zamazenta Ground is really good. I do think it's a little weak to hazards, which I think is kind of a problem for this team. Obviously, you've got the 4 times Stealth Rock weak Volcarona, Stealth Rock weak Cerule Edge, Stealth Rock weak Low Kicks, Minior. Um, Nothing on this team besides Clodsire resists Stealth Rock, which is unfortunate. Gyarados Mega's also weak to Stealth Rocks. And Zamazenta and Gyarados both can't hold heavy duty boots, which makes the team weak to hazards, which is unfortunate. Volcarona obviously can, but you are then like forced into holding boots. Ceruledge can too, Minior can too, but you want if you want offensive items on these two, then they can't hold boots. Um, yeah, and I guess the removal on this team, I it's tidy up mouse hold, I think. I don't think anything else on here gets any type of removal, as far as I know. So I think this team is pretty weak to hazards. Um, but outside of that, um, the speed tiers don't look too bad. They look pretty good, actually. I like Mega Gyarados. I like being able to change the type when you Mega. I think that's valuable for forcing 50-50s. And it's like Dragon Dance, Mega Gyarados, Quiver Dance, Volk are both great endgame win cons. So is Raging Bolt. I like that this team is just a bunch of offense plus like Clodsire and Sinistra. I think that's in Gen 9 really the way to go. It's just a bunch of offense because winning games fast is the way to go. Um, yeah. Uh, Outside of the hazards weakness, I think this team's it's good. Okay, so thirdly, I have the Columbus Carvana. Um, we've got Dragapult, Mega Medicham, Ogerpon, so like an extremely powerful first three. Then you have Jirachi, who's less strong, more annoying. Um, Dragapult's obviously the best Pokemon in draft. You have Mega Medicham, who's insanely strong, And Ogerpon Hearthflame who is too. I think just between these two, it's going to be really hard for anyone's physical walls to stop this team because you're going to have to be switching in on Ivy Cudgels and Power Whips and whatnot from Ogerpon. Plus, you're going to have to be able to take close combats and Psycho Cuts, Zen Headbutts, Fake Outs too from Mega Medicham. Um, Medicham's also nice for the priority, the Bullet Punch and Fake Out. And I recently learned it gets Upper Hand, I think. So you got three potential options there. Jirachi, a very nice choice scarf for a very nice rocker too. Um, you got Nihilego, which is also a good hazard setter, and is a Terramon, a really good win con if you run the Meteor Beam Speed Boost set. I think, obviously, I think that's where the 5 kills came from, is from Meteor Beam Speed Boosting. Um, Weezingale nice. You can get rid of hazards on Golden Go. Mandoaz can also defog. This team has Ogerpon who's weak to hazards and can't hold boots, but it's got ways to remove them. And the rest of the team isn't super duper hazard weak. Mega Medicham also can't hold heavy duty boots, which is unfortunate. I think it's a really good team, actually. You start off with the best Pokemon in a draft and add two extremely strong guys, plus Nihilego as another special attacker. I think there's a lot of pieces to this, and I think Nihiligo's a great Terra Captain. Dunsparce, I think, is a good 8-point Terra Captain, too. I don't think much about Dunsparce, I guess. It's another rocker. You've already got a couple. Um, yeah, I think this. You got a Spiker and Overpon, too. I think this team is good. I am a fan. I think it's good offensively, and it can overwhelm offensively, and that's what it should be doing. And I think that's good. Speed tiers are good too. I guess you're missing someone in the 90s. Kind of a gap from 100 to 80, but and then 80 to 60. But it's not the biggest deal. Okay, so then we have the Goblin Forest Marshadows Cambats team. Let's see, is Greninja, Great Tusk. I do really like Greninja. I've been using it in another league. Battle Bond is awesome, and plus you can also run Protean, so you add to the unpredictability. It gets spikes, toxic spikes, and U-turn, all kinds of utility. Water Shuriken's nice for priority. I think Greninja's a great mon. Great Tusk, best spinner in the game. You got Stealth Rocks on it too. It's it's amazing. There's a reason it's I think number 2 in usage in OU right now. Great mon. Mew, another great draft mon, super versatile. It has recovery in Nat decks, which is nice. Sets hazards, removes hazards, does everything. Dragon Dance plus can be Calm Mind, or not Calm Mind, Cosmic Power. I guess it probably could be Calm Mind. I don't know. There's a lot of different sets you can run with it. Mew's great. Uh, Venusaur's a wall. I do really like Terra Haxorus because this Pokemon actually gets Terra Blast, which I think is more valuable on Terra Captains, is to have ones that can actually make full use of it. And Haxorus is one of them because it can use Terra Blast. And the 147 attack stat is super nice. Yeah, the defensive core of like Venusaur and Primarina, and then I guess you got Florges, Talonflame, Mew, and Great Tusk that you can also use defensively. This team's a little tough to break, but offensively, I think it is a little reliant on like just Greninja plus Haxorus. And then I guess you got Porygon Z too. I think Great Tusk is awesome offensively. Um, I don't know. I guess it's not coming offensive every single game. I think your general plan will be Greninja, Great Tusk plus Haxorus. It's got good hazard removal here with the Defog Talonflame, Rapid Spin, Defog up here, and Rapid Spin. You've got good hazards. You got Fortress for spikes and rocks. You got rocks on Tusk. You got every hazard on Mew. Um, yeah, I think it's just an all-around good team. I like it. The speed tiers are nicely spaced out. And yeah, I don't really see a whole lot of huge flaws with it. And then we're on to Close Combatants by a coached by Kamba. You got Landers Therian on this team, the old king of OU. And let's see, you got Tapu Lele, Melmetal, Altaria Mega, Moltres, Dondozo, Swellow. I like Terra Swellow. I've seen that used a couple times in the last season with the choice specs Terra Normal Boom Burst. Looks really good. Uh, Regice has been putting in some work so far in the season. Pretty impressive for just a Regice, but I'm excited to see it do more. Yeah, I think you got a really good offensive top end of Landorus, Melmetal, Tapu Lele, all extremely strong. Then you got Swellow, who with Terra is also extremely strong. Vikavolt, super strong. Altaria is less strong automatically, but it's got good setup. So I think you got uh, the good makings of a team. Defensively, like Dondozo basically just defeats everyone with its unaware ability and massive HP. Moltres is great for Flame Body. Altaria can play defensive too. So can Melmetal. While these two are, they can play defensive and be really strong, which is nice. Audino, I think, is a really cool Pokemon for 5 points. It's got Regenerator. I think it's got Heal Bell in that dex. So I think that Audino is actually a really good pickup, especially as your normal type. I guess you already got Swell as a normal type, but Audino is more of the Spectre counter. Um, yeah, I don't see a dark type on this team, which is a little. I'd be a little scared of that because you have Tapu Lele who sets up psychic terrain. So if you're playing like an Iron Crown, then you're opening yourself up to a bunch of expanding forces in your face, which this team wouldn't take super well except outside of like an AV Melmetal or Terra Dark Regice, which I guess is what you do in that case, probably Terra Dark the Regice. But not having a dark type I do think is a weakness. The team is overall relatively slow outside of Swellow, which I don't know, it's not the worst thing ever. Um, for hazards, you got removal and Moltres, and I think Altaria gets defog. Landorus gets defog. Swellow gets defog. I think Swell gets defog. Don't quote me on that because I don't really know. It might not. For setting hazards, you got Roxon, Landorus, Webs on Vikavolt. I guess that's it. I think. I don't think there's any other hazards you can set with this team, which, you know, probably isn't the best possible thing. So I don't think this is the best team in the league. I think adding a dark type would help the team, but yeah, I don't think there's a dark type. I might be making a fool of myself, but yeah. Okay, so now we have the Konoha Hidden Nuzleafs. Sneasler, Zygarde, Finny. So Tapu Fini plus Sneasler is interesting because you do lose the Dire Claw benefits, but if you're just looking to KO things instead of cheese them, I think it's fine. Because then you also can't be burned while you're setting up, and you also can't be paralyzed, which I think is extremely important. Zygarde, I think Tapu Fini does. I think I like pairing it with Zygarde and Sneasler. Oops. I like pairing it with Zygarde and Sneasler because then you can't burn or paralyze or poison Zygarde. Um, and I just think Zygarde, obviously, I named my team after Zygarde, but I think it's a great end game. You got two great end game threats, and the other one can break for him. And then you've also got a great breaker in Rillaboom, and one of the best Terra Captains in Blacephalon. Um, Blacephalon unfortunately can't use Terra Blast, which I think does take away from it, but it can use Hidden Power, so that's nice. Um, yeah, and it's super strong. The 151 special attack and also 127 attack, so you can use that if you're really cooking. I think the dual terrain with Sneasler is nice for the unpredictability. Uh, yeah, I like Screamtail as a defensive mon. I like Indeedee because that's another terrain, and I just like Indeedee in general. I think Expanding Force is extremely good. I guess defensively, you're like Finny, Screamtail, and Steelix, Cofagrigus. You got 4 defensive mons, so it's not like you're not gonna. No one's gonna be surprised by what you bring as your walls anytime. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think like I said in Gen 9, it's you should be doing more offense than defense. I think Cincino is a really cool Terra Captain. I think it's a really good mon with Tidy Up now, and it gets triple axle, so when you hit, you're killing all kinds of things. Um, yeah. So what else is on this team? There's Stealth Rocks on Screamtail. There's Stealth Rocks on Steelix. Oh, I think Tentacool gets. I know it gets Toxic Spikes. Yeah, I think so. It's a little slim on the hazards, and you have to either bring Screamtail with Stealth Rocks or Steelix with Stealth Rocks to set them. So that's not great. I don't think there's any spikes on this team. I think Kefagris just gets Toxic Spikes. I'm reasonably sure of that. So yeah, I don't think there's any spikes on this team, which is unfortunate. I think this team would benefit a lot from having spikes so that you could set it up and force some switches with Zygarde, Rillaboom, and Sneasler, and Blacephalon too. I think spikes would be very good on this team. But yeah, I guess for removal, there's Defog Finny, there's the Tidy Up on Cincino. Speed tiers are pretty good. They actually are really good because you got pretty much something at every single level. You don't have something at 100, but you got 107 on Blacephalon. So I think it's an alright team. If it had a spiker, I think that would make it quite a bit better. Is there also not a dark type on this team? I don't think there's a dark type on this team either. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think this team, much like the last one we looked at, needs a dark type and a spiker or a different rocker. I think this needs a dark type and a spiker. Needs a Samurott. Okay, so then we have Nashville Soundwave, coached by Tony, leader of the league. So we've got a nice Golden Go team. Got Urshifu Rapid, Golden Go, Rotom Wash, Iron Treads, Mugus Arcanine. Yeah. So I think Urshifu Rapid Strike's really good. You've got Banded, Scarfed, Swords Dance. You can even still run Bulk Up if you want. Got the Trailblaze to boost your speed, which is really cool. I think Urshifu Rapid Strike's probably the second best mon on this team because I think Golden Go's the best. And I think Golden Go functions in its role of like blocking hazards and being a potent offensive threat. And I think it does that best when it's defensive. I think Bold Gold is the best set by far on it. I think like Nasty Plot Recover, Shadow Ball Make It Rain is going to get a lot of work done whenever you bring it. And the good is gold ability, blocking defog is super nice, except that this team doesn't really have the hazards to take advantage of it. I really think there needs to be another spiker besides Iron Thorns on this team. I think that's like just a huge, huge problem with it. Is that if like Golden Go is your best Pokemon, then you should really have more spikes than just Iron Thorns. Because you got Treads and Shuckle, so you only have two rockers, and you got Shuckle with webs and Iron Thorns with spikes. So, like, you have to bring two mons minimum to get up spikes and rocks. And even then, like, even then, you're bringing Iron Thorns, and you're not bringing it offensively if you're running spikes most of the time, which I think Iron Thorns' best set is like Dragon Dance Booster Energy. But that's kind of besides the point. I think this team can function by getting up spikes and rocks and then forcing switches with Urshifu and Golden Go. And Oricorio, I think, is a really good Terra Captain. I think that can also force switches if you can get some Quiver Dances up. So I think there's a path for this team to do well, but I think it really would benefit from another spiker. In terms of hazard removal, you got Treads, you got Defog Florges. Oricorio might get Defog, but you probably, yeah, I know it does actually. But actually, don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it does. But you're probably going to want to run offensive on it anyway. Shiftry I know gets defog. Murkrow might. But if you're bringing Shiftry and Murkrow, it's like, yeah. I think there Treads is good enough hazard removal, and oh, Rotom gets defog too, so you have good hazard removal. Yeah, the team is just as I think it's Golden Go with a lot of walls, which isn't lovely. I'd love to see like Amoonguss, Rotom Wash, Arcanine, Florges, Shuckle, Iron Thorns. Iron Thorns is actually offensive. I like Iron Thorns. I think Shuckle, Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, Arcanine, Florges is just like those mons are all mostly defensive. Rotom I know can go offensive, but you already have an offensive water type. Um, but I think defensive plus like Golden Go hazards is not a great way to go. I think you want to go like if you have Golden Go, you want to go all out with Spike Stack and yeah, go from there. This team is also pretty slow in terms of speed. Fastest at 106. You'd again like to see faster than that. But the speed tiers aren't terribly distributed. Like you've pretty much hit all the stuff from like not 100 to 70. So yeah, it's not the worst. Not the worst team I've ever seen, but I do think it would benefit from going more spike stacking offense. But I think there is a path for this to work. Okay, so we got LGBT Quills, coached by Levi, who I believe won fourth flight. Got Tornadus. Got a rain team here. I like Tornadus on the rain team. You can't miss your hurricanes, or you could run Bleak Wind if you want to cover for when the rain's not up, and then hit 80% of the time. Latias I think is great, a great setup mon. Walking Wake is super nice because then you cover for the sun blocking your rain too. I think yeah, and Archaludon's insane on a rain team. Obviously need Pelipper. I think Terra Barraskewda is one of the best deals that you could have gotten for a Terra Captain. I guess it's also partnered with Terra Overquill, which is insane because like just Terra Barraskewda with if your opponent doesn't have a Water Absorb mon, then like you're coming in, you're clicking Banded Terra Water Flip Turn in the rain and doing like 40% to resist at least. I think I think this is an awesome team. I mean, you got nice hazards with Ferrothorn and Arch, and also Donphan over. Yeah, this is an insane hazard team. You got Spin on Donphan, Defog Pelipper, Defog Latias, Defog Torn. Um, I think you're incredibly offensive because you got Nasty Plot on Torn, all kinds of setups, or you could run like Specs on Latias or Scarf, anything. Walking Awake can do a ton of different stuff too. Like it could do Dragon Dance, but Specs and Scarf are also really good. Life Orb, super strong. Walking Wake's just insanely strong. Arch is great with like almost any set you run with it. Leftovers and AV are probably the most common and probably the best because you can use that stamina and body press. Yeah, I think this team is great. Nice and fast. Yeah, you're not really forcing you're not forcing any jolly natures from things like base 105 to base 100. I think this team is awesome. I think you have the ability to put on a bunch of offensive pressure and great defensive backbone to back the team up. Pelipper too, I'll highlight. I think you have insane Terra captains. I think this is one of the best teams in the league. Okay, so we got Ranchero, Bernardo Behem, coached by Cad, who is currently in number one in the league. I think no, I think actually I think they're in number two. But anyway, so we got Palafin, Zapdos, Heatran, Okidogi, Pecharunt. So what do I like about this team? I like Alakazam as a Terra Captain, although I don't think it can use Terra Blast, but it can use Hidden Power, so there's that. I think Alakazam's awesome, like for the Magic Guard Focus Sash sets, Magic Guard Life Orb. I think all that's good. Okidogi and Pecharunt, nice poison types. Does leave you a little. What are poison's weaknesses? Psychic, Ground. Team is a little Earthquake weak, and by a little I mean a lot. It's actually more 1,000 Arrows weak because then you hit Zapdos too. This, you have to bring Torterra in that case to really switch into Thousand Arrows. Or you could Terra Porygon too, I guess. Terra's nice for that. What do I think offensively? Palafin is awesome offensively, 160 base attack's awesome. Zapdos is also really good when you're using it offensively, but it's also great defensively. I think it's awesome. Heatran can run Eruption in map decks, which is also nice offensively. I think Zapdos and Heatran can both do very well offensive and defensively. Okidogi's kind of this also can do well offensively and defensively, but just less well offensively and less well defensively. Hatterene, I think, is an insane mon. Um, Magic Bounce is like one of the best abilities. Not quite up there with not quite Regenerator, but somewhere up there. And um, the ability to bounce back hazards is always going to be valuable. So you got that to prevent hazards. You got Zapdos with Defog. You got Alakazam who doesn't take hazard damage. Um, yeah. So in terms of setting hazards, you got Stealth Rock on Heatran. Okidogi or Petrunt could get hazards, and I would have no idea. But I'm just seeing Stealth Rock on Heatran, so I think you want some better. Torterra might get Stealth Rock or Spikes, but I don't really know. I think you want better hazards on this team. Speed tier wise, you don't have anything in the 90s, except you have Petron at 88, so like not the worst speed tiers I've ever seen. I think it's pretty good. And you got Palafin with Jet Punch, so you're not really worried about things outspeeding you all the time. Um, yeah, I just think the hazard setting is a little weak, besides Hatterene bouncing hazards back. They might. No, I think just Frostless gets spikes. But yeah, I think you want a little bit better of hazard setters. So this team would also put on the list of open to getting absolutely dogged on by Iron Crown. But, you know, I don't think it's a terrible team. I don't think it's a bad team at all. I think a dark type and a hazard setter would help though. Like a spike setter or a second rocker. Okay, so now we have the number one team in the league currently, Turtwig Terror, with Urshifu, Shaman Sky, Excadrill, Toxapex, Alomomola, Togekiss. It's kind of a stall team. The double bulky water, Alomomola plus Toxapex, and Sableye, and Knuckle Stack. Rotom Heat can be bulky. Excadrill's an awesome hazard lead. Shaman Sky and Urshifu are both great offensively. Um, yeah. So this team, in fact, does have a dark type, which I'm glad to see. Hazard removal on Excadrill and hazard setting. Magic Bounce Sableye, hazards on Knuckle Stack. Um, I mean, I don't think this team's really trying to be offensive, so I respect that angle that it's going for. I just wouldn't be doing that. I think Hector might get spikes, but it looks like a spike Pokemon, but I don't really know. Um, yeah, I think it's obviously won some games, but Toxapex Alomomola is super passive, so is Sableye. I think these can be easily taken advantage of by like just one substitute. And this isn't even like break substitute and hit you again Urshifu. This is just one hit Urshifu. I think, yeah, like Knucklestack, Sableye Mega, Alomomola, and Toxapex, and Rotom Heat, really, for that matter, are just all very susceptible to getting subbed on or taunted. I'd rather sub on them, though, because I don't think any of them, besides Rotom Heat, really, are going to break your substitute, and then you're in a better position versus everything else. There's no unaware mon on this team, so you are still weak to set up. So getting subbed and set up on is something I do worry about on this team. But you do have Haze Toxapex, so if they can't break Pex, then you're doing all right. Yeah. The two offensive pieces, or like the three top offensive pieces, I think are all really good. And then when you put them with Togekiss and Rotom Heat, I think you got a very good offensive option. But considering it's been a lot of stall so far, I just I think these pieces are good stall pieces. Pex, Mola, Sableye, Rotom, Knucklestack, I guess Togekiss too. I think they're good stall pieces. I just don't think stall is great right now, especially. like in a Gen 9 Napdex metagame. So yeah, I think this team's weak to sub. I think the speed tiers are fine. Yeah, I don't see any problem with them. Like you got a 97, 127, and 88, so you like are forcing some jolly natures to get around in there. I think it's a fine team. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best or one of the worst. I think it's good at what it's trying to do. I just don't think what it's trying to do is very good. Okay, so we're on to the Unova Melodies. We got Alakazam Mega, which is awesome. In Iron Bundle, again, awesome. Gouging Fire. You just got 3 hitters right off the back, which I like to see. Corviknight and Tinglu is an absolutely and Hydrapple. That's an insane defensive combination to come right after, and they're not really passive either because Tinglu sets up all the hazards. Corviknight can U-turn out, and Hydrapple's really strong. And it's Terra. And Terra Delphox I like. Wheezing with a neutralizing gas, awesome. Or Levitate. Doxbun I think is a really good. I think these are 2 really good low tier walls. Holy cow! I had never looked at this team before. I think these last 3 picks are kind of wasted points. I think you could have gotten a better 5-pointer than all these 3 combined. But yeah, I don't think it's the worst decision ever. Um, yeah, I yeah, wow. You got really reliable defog into anything but Golden Go on Corviknight. You got hazards on Tinglu, which I guess those are your only 2 real hazard setters and removers, but they're like the best hazard setter and the best hazard removal in the game. So I'm not super worried about it. Because if you bring them every week, you're not really hurting your team. You've got Iron Bundle, which is awesome when you hit. Gouging Fire, which can do almost anything. That can be defensive. Burning Bulwark is awesome. The Dragon Dance sets are awesome. I think it gets Scale Shot. I don't know if it does actually. I'm gonna actually say it doesn't. But the Dragon Dance sets are awesome. Alakazam Mega, super fast, super strong. Really nice. Faster than Bolt. Yeah, I think this is a great team. Yeah, speed wise, all the way across the board. I love it to see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say other than I think this team's great. I think you got 3 great breakers up here. You got 3 great defensive mons right after. You got another good offensive mon and another 2 good defensive mons. Like I think this is a really good team just in those first 9 mons. Yeah, 9. I think these 9 mons make a great team. I think you could have done better with these 3, but I don't really think it matters because I think these 9 are so good. We've got Windy City Rock and Roll coached by Wind. And we got Latias, Chi-Yu, Spectrier, Scissor Iron Hands, Swampert Pheasantipity, Cyclizer, Orther, and Fion. Okay. Latias Mega's cool. Um, it does really well with setup sets. It can defog too. Scissor can defog. Cyclizer can Rapid Swim, which is actually probably your best hazard removal. You got Stealth Rock on Swampert, Stealth Rock and Spikes on Orthworm. All are really good. Actually, I like Orthworm a lot. I think you can definitely bring it, especially as a Terra Captain. Cyclizer too. I see this is fake Shed Tail. I think Pheasantipity is a really cool defensive mon. In terms of offense, Chi-Yu Spectre is an incredible combination because they're switching their special wall to Chi-Yu, and then you blow them away with Specs Overheat, and Spectre can clean up because they don't have a special wall anymore. I think that's great. I think physical offense between Scissor and Iron Hands. I think Iron Hands is really good. I think it's way better than the 13 pointer. But that's kind of besides the point. It's really strong. The 140 attack. You can run belly drum sets and like no HP, so you can get it all back with a drain punch, which is hype. Swampert is really cool too. Yeah, it's got flip turn, great defensive mon that doesn't lose you momentum, and sets up rocks. I think it's awesome. Um, yeah, I think this is a really good team. I I don't know. Uh, Defensively, it's a little iffy. considering Pheasantipty, I think, is the only defensive mon with reliable recovery on this team. But I don't really think you need defense. I think you mostly need offense. I think this team has it. I think not having a fast, you got Scissor, which has Bullet Punch, but not having like a fast, physically offensive mon could hurt you, but I don't think it will. I think this is a good team. If I had to pick a best team, probably be one with a dark type on it, I'll tell you that. Unova Melodies is probably the best team, in my opinion. Just the first 9 mons. That's the best draft team here. I think second would have to be Cincinnati Cinderaces, though. I think they really use their Terra Captains. I think Unova Melodies did too, but I think these Terra Captains are used really well. And you got Samurott and Iron Valiant, which is nice. So those, if I were gonna pick finals, it'd be between those two. I think those are the best two teams. And yeah,